Late Ill Kid at One Young Soul, holding it down, bringing that street geek and nerd soul. What is up, my people, today? Oh yeah, we got a episode of specials, but also a comic book review coming to you because I'm joined by the wonderful, the awesome, the enigmatic MD Marie. What's up?
What's up, crowd? I always make him laugh at the beginning of an interview. I don't know how I do this, but I'm gonna go with it.
So before we get into the book and everything, how you been?
I'm good. How are you?
All right. So, well, not too bad. You know,
Okay, good.
Con's been fun. How's the con been for you?
It's been great since today's the only day I've been here.
Oh boy. So you guys know MD Marie. She's been on the show a couple of times. You've seen her, and she has a comic book. Well, not even coming out. She's been talking about it coming out. It is out, and
Finally.
it's 4 issues, right?
Yes,
And I've read 3 of them,
so far. Yeah.
and I'm going to review these with her right now. So it's going to be like a review / Q&A right now.
Okay.
So the name of the book is Vindication. And what is Vindication?
Vindication is basically when someone's done you wrong and it's been righted.
Okay, all right. So in this, to give you guys a cool idea, is dealing with a cop drama, dealing with someone getting out of jail, dealing with the struggles of, I guess, assimilating back into society, sort of, in your neighborhood, your town, and also on the police side, figuring out what kind of cop you're gonna be. So I read the first 3 issues. I guess I like it. I think, no, wait. This book is really cool, and this book hits home on a lot of things. One thing that I'll say that I'll start up front, of course, you guys see it, is the art. The art on these covers are incredible, and we'll talk about interiors in a second, but the covers are incredible and very powerful. Why did you, or how did you come to choosing those covers?
Well, the cover for issue 1 is actually, the art was done by my brother.
Okay.
And he approached
Big
me
shout
with
out.
it. Yes, Dragonfly John on Facebook. And my brother's probably been my biggest fan for as long as he's been alive.
Okay.
And he's my favorite audience. And
Makes sense.
he had drawn this cover and he felt like it was appropriate for the story that I was telling. And so he offered it to me and I loved it.
Word.
But more importantly, Top Cow loved it. And they thought it was just so powerful.
It is. It definitely is. And it sets the tone for the story that we're about to see.
Yes.
And all of these covers, I haven't seen 4, but the first 3 are all very powerful, and they speak to kind of the, I guess you could say, the prison industrial complex that we have, the police state, I guess you could describe it as, that we kind of live through as Black people day to day in America.
Yes.
And it speaks strongly to that, and it definitely reaches into the book. The art on the interiors are, I want to say, an interesting mix of like almost photorealistic, because there are some very close-up shots where you're like, oh man, this is like someone's skin, but then you're able to still keep it in a comic book sense where it's not, I guess, painstakingly photorealistic the whole time.
Yes.
But I like how dark it is.
Okay.
It's, and I know this is like a film term, but the book is lit in a very dark way.
Yes.
It's a very dark, gritty, kind of maybe a crime drama, but seen from the POV of both sides.
Yes.
What the cop is doing, what the cop is going through, and what our young man is doing and going through.
Yes.
Who's on the art, and why did you guys choose to go that style?
So Carlos Furizamo actually drew the art, and I had seen, his samples that he had submitted to Top Cow, and I loved his style of drawing. And then Dima Jr. Did the coloring, and I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, they put into it their spirit.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So that was really their, what you see was their contribution to their passion to that story.
Great. And I will touch on this real quick. when it comes to like indies, like Top Cow, Image, stuff like that, you do get to see a lot more of that passion pour through.
Yes.
So I'm glad that they got to work on this because of even when, you know, there's bruising that happens and the way it's drawn, the way it's depicted is very cool. So let's get into the story.
Okay.
Because as a story, at first I wasn't feeling it.
Okay.
Because it moves very fast at the beginning.
Okay.
But I'm into crime dramas.
Okay.
So if you're into crime dramas, there's a very shorthand that you kind of work through to kind of like get us there.
Yes. Very true.
But once we're there, we have to deal with some very serious issues with the officer who's known as Chip or Charles, but Chip for short.
Yeah.
And the young man named Turn who is just getting out of jail.
Yes.
Speak to us a little bit about the character of Chip and who is he?
Chip is, he's more complex than I'm able to articulate in the story.
All right. Well, you do a great job of seeing the things he goes through. And we learn, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but yeah.
So on the surface, him being a cop and then him being a white cop, there's already prejudices that kind of happen before you actually get to know him as a person.
Yeah.
So as you kind of delve into his character, you find that he actually has a multicultural experience that most people on the surface don't see.
Yeah.
You know,
and you drop it on the reader too.
Yes.
You drop it on us, and I'm like, oh.
Right?
Well, why didn't you say that?
Right. Because I wanted to, I actually, it was intentional on my part to make it evident that these prejudices about cops and white cops exist first, and then for you to see the person who lies underneath those prejudices. So that was kind of intentional on my part.
All right, cool. And we also have Turn, and he's the other, I guess, the star, the co-star of this book, and Turn is just getting out of jail.
Yes.
And for a crime that, of course, he's saying he didn't commit.
Yes.
We don't know whether he did or didn't.
Right.
But, you know, there's some DNA evidence. He's out of there.
Yes.
And the way you handle how he comes home, the way you're kind of stuck into the same cycles, because when you get out of jail, it's not like, hey, we're going to take you out of jail, but we're not going to put you back in the situation that led you to jail.
Right.
We're going to take you out and get you away from that. No, we're going to put you right back with the people.
Right. We're going to drop you off where we picked you up.
Yeah. Those same people you associated with that led you to jail.
Yes.
Oh, we're exactly where we're going to put you back.
Exactly.
And it's interesting how quickly we as creatures of habit can fall back into that.
Yes.
Like we get, and I'll have you speak about this, we get back into kind of like this dice game thing, where it's just like, okay, well, I guess I'll do this. And it's like, dude, that's illegal.
Yes.
But why, or how important is it to make sure that we see kind of his struggle with that and how he kind of has to just go back to life as usual?
I'm seeing. Let me figure out the best way to answer that
without spoiling too much.
Yeah. It's important that I wanted to convey that people go back to what they're used to, you know, and that. Let me back up a little bit. I did a lot of interviews with people who live this kind of lifestyle. Both cops and not cops. We'll just say it that way politely, right? To figure out, well, why would you put yourself back into a situation that you just got out of, right?
Sure.
And they're like, well, creatures of habits. This is what we know. This is the devil we know, kind of thing, right?
Okay.
So even if he had a choice of going in another direction or doing something else, him going to prison at such a young age, what else does he know?
Yeah. And plus, he hasn't been out. He's been there for 10 years.
Right.
So.
And he grew up in prison.
Yeah. So there's no other support system really except a young lady who we'll sort of touch on in a little bit, but there's no other support system but these same folks that I was around since I was younger.
Right. And I'm going to go back to, where I left off, and then I'll pick up from there and figure my life out at this point, because, he not necessarily wanted to go and back into the lifestyle that he was living before, but he has to start from somewhere. So he's got to go back to his mother's house. He's got to find a job. He's got to figure out his skill sets, right? Well, he doesn't have any. He went to prison when he was so very young, and then what did he learn in prison, and how is he going to apply that outside, and
True.
how quickly am I going
And
to make
also
money?
the fact that once you put, that you're convicted, but it was overturned. Like, how do you represent that on on a resume or on a,
Right.
On an application?
Well, how do
and
I
how
make
does that
my
play
life
out?
less of a struggle
Thank you.
and get money fast?
Yes.
So that's his predicament.
So we also have some leading ladies
Yes.
who help show that these characters are more than just two men that can't get along, and this is it. Because there are some ways where I think that this could play out as just an average cop drama thing. You got IA, you got the chief, but I think you handle these guys and their situations in a very interesting way. And even their relationships with or against the women that they have chosen to, I guess, share their lives with.
Mm-hmm.
And we have Shake, who is an ex-girlfriend of Chip, and then you have
Spoiler alert.
Oh yeah. Look, guys, we're still leaving tons of stuff out in the book, all right? And then I cannot remember the young lady's name.
Lisa.
Lisa.
Yeah.
See, you know what? I don't even want to hear it, okay? I'm not forgetting Lisa.
That's
all right?
right.
I'm not going to forget that. I don't even want to hear it. But how important is it to show that not only the men are three-dimensional, but the women are three-dimensional, and in turn making the men reflect on their own choices?
It's super paramount for me to develop the women and to make them three-dimensional characters. I wish that I could have put more into them in this story, but it's a 4-issue arc.
Yeah.
So and it wasn't their story.
Yeah.
But I wanted them
But
to.
there's a lot there with, especially their discussion with each other.
Yes.
But continue, Sai.
Yeah. So, I mean, I wish that I could have written more around the dynamics of the women and how they contribute to this story. And but for the sake of plot twists and turns, I couldn't really.
All right.
And but I also wanted to give them enough depth that, being a female writer, I have to have female characters, and they have to have some depth to them. They can't just be, props.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I love about having either the on either side, the boyfriend or the girlfriend. The boyfriend should make the woman better, or he
Yes.
should make her worse, but he should make something, not
Yes.
just be the boyfriend.
Right.
Or the girlfriend should make or the wife should make the husband, better, or make him worse, but
Right.
make him something,
Right.
do something,
Right.
make him or her feel some way, and even question them, or ask them why, and make them figure out who they're going to be. Last thing I wanted to touch on, because I want to stay as far away from spoiler territory as we can.
Okay.
But dealing with police and evidence, and what line you're going to cross and what line you won't cross, and for what you think is right. Why is it that when it comes to Charles, and I guess as a character, do you think that he just can't figure it out? What is it about Charles that he can't let things go?
He's struggling with a lot of his own past history, and he's struggling with how he was raised, how he was groomed in the police department,
True.
who he loves, and the world that these people that he loved come from. And that's kind of like, there's a lot of confusion there, because where do you find your identity in the middle of all of that? When you're told, as a race, I'm supposed to be this way.
Yeah.
And this race is this way, right? And then I go into this other arena, being the police department, and they think this of this race, and they think this of my race, but that's not my experience, right? And then I have to balance all of that, because I want a relationship with these people. I've had this experience with these people, and then I'm expected to behave this way by these people. So, and when you mix all that together, how do you figure out how to sort all that out?
Yeah, because I like I also like that you sort things out in a way that's, every story needs exposition. Every story does. But I like how you handle your exposition through conversation instead of just being like, news flash today. And sometimes you need the news exposition, you do. But I like how we learn about people not from some grandstanding monologue, but through a discussion, and we get pieces of their lives like, oh, you never told us this.
Right.
When were you gonna say this about your past? And so why are you guys doing this now?
Right.
And can't y'all just hug it out?
Right.
So I think it's cool. And when you're handling characters and dialogue and discussion, is it ever a problem for you to like condense it, or do you always just like, do you want it to be long and sprawling, or how do you like handling the conversation when you're dropping information as well?
Yeah, that part is difficult. Making it more concise and still delivering the impact that I intend is a challenge, because I come from novel writing, like as many words as it takes.
Yeah, this could be 500 pages, 200 pages, or 1,000 pages.
Right. You use as many words as it takes to deliver the message, right? So putting it into, a dialogue bubble, and then still having the same, keeping the context, and then having the same impact, and then delivering the meaning is very challenging in that way, because I have to figure out a shorter way of saying something that normally would take me 2 paragraphs.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Now I will say this, before we get out of here, Vindication is a book that I think shows us maybe a lens at a community that represents, because all of these people are very closely related.
Yes.
I'll say that.
Yes.
And it shows us how a village is just a microcosm of what we're all dealing with, or what we're all asking each other questions about, whether implicitly or explicitly, and framed around, of course, vindication, and framed around, the prison industrial complex, and framed around trying to gain your identity back, or figuring out who you are at this time in your life, is very interesting and very important, and a very good way to start conversations.
And also, did you ever really know who I was before today?
True, yeah. So that's why I recommend Vindication, because not only is it a fun read, but it's one of those works where you can go deeper. And that's what, guys, I like to go deeper on, what does it mean to be Iron Man, or who is Spider-Man, or who is Superman, or what is Neil Gaiman saying through Sandman, or whatever it is. This allows us to have a deeper conversation on what it is to be black, what it is from the hood, what it is to have a relationship with an officer as a black or a white person.
Yes. And an individual who is a police officer.
Or how do you have a relationship with someone of the opposite race while you're in law enforcement?
Right.
There's so many different questions of like, how should we conduct ourselves? Why should we conduct ourselves? When is it okay to just be like, look, this isn't me? Yeah. Or do we fall back into line, and this is what everybody is doing? So I think it's very important. It's a very important piece of literature. I really dig it. The art is cool. The covers are outstanding.
Yes.
And there are some twists that you throw in there. It's like, y'all know each other?
Right?
Well, if you know each other, why you ain't just...
And that's what's funny. Like, I read some of the critiques of the book, and people were like, well, first it moved too fast, and then it didn't have enough information. And I was like, well, it's 4 issues. I can't tell you everything a book would.
See, at first I didn't know it was only 4 issues. Okay. I thought it was going to be longer. But now that I know it's 4 issues, I'm like, oh, okay. But because at very first, it's like boom, 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 this happens. But then once you get in your groove, by like, say, the middle of the first issue, you start to get in your groove, and it's not flying by anymore. We're dealing with cases. We're dealing with the police department. We're dealing with the neighborhood. We're dealing with moms, old girlfriends, blah, blah, blah. And you're dealing with people that look like you, that you can relate to. Like, I went through this, or a friend went through this. And you start to really ease into the story in a very good way.
Thank you.
And
Thank
it's
you.
dope. So
I appreciate that so much.
Yo, I like it. I like it a lot.
Oh, good. I'm
so
hoping
I
to
got
continue the series.
Now I got to find out what happens next
Right?
on issue 4.
You know what's funny is
Because of all the people that know each other.
Yeah, some people call me and they're like, so what happens next? I'm like, the next book comes out.
What happens next is
Right.
next month, book comes out.
Right.
Now, for you, what happens next is you check out, that's right, Vindication. It's Top Cow. All you got to do is Google Vindication or Top Cow, or look in the description. You will find a link to go buy that. That's right, all right?
Yes.
Go buy it, get it,
Please.
read it up,
Yes.
enjoy it, so she can write most stuff for you.
Yes.
All right? She
I would
can write
love
most
to
stuff.
develop these characters more and
Yeah.
give you more stories. They're awesome characters, so enjoy.
Yeah.
Please do.
The art, big shout out to all the art, all the covers. They're crazy good. So before we get out of here,
Yeah.
where can the wonderful people find you?
They can find me on Instagram under Mischievous Model with 2 S's, or under Literary MD, or I'm sorry, MD Marie Stories, or they can find me on Twitter at Literary MD, or on Facebook as MD Marie, or the Literary Works of MD Marie. I know I got a lot of them. It's not like I didn't give you enough options to find me. I'm just saying. Stop
Because
it.
I
You're
have to
always
put
laughing
all
at me.
these links down below. Man. I have to go get like 30
He
links.
follows me on like half of them, so
I gotta go find like 35 links. And
I'm trying to be found, folks.
look, you don't say you can't find her, all right? Because she on everything.
I am.
Girl still on MySpace.
Oh my God,
Probably
I-
on Black Planet.
I am, man.
Yo,
There's
look,
one in England. I'm
Word?
on, yeah.
See, look, guys, thank you for hanging with us. WonderCon has been a ball. Got some more people to check out. Check out the panel that she was on, Women in the Dark.
Women on the Dark Side.
Women on the Dark Side.
Yes.
Check that out. That's also up on the channel. If it's not up now, it'll be up soon.
Yes.
I don't know when you're watching this, but check that out. 'Cause we're talking to theoretical people who are watching this at some point. in
Yes,
time.
they'll find you. I know you have tons of fans. I'm a huge fan of yours. I'm so
I got a couple
honored
fans. Yeah.
every time you want to interview me. So thank you very much.
MD's a bomb. Yeah.
He laughs at me too much, but other than that,
Because you're always doing something weird. Every time
I
I'm
am
like, what is she
weird.
doing?
right.
But guys, thank you for checking us out. Check out Vindication. Go check out that art, read that story, buy a copy or two,
Please.
buy some copies for your
10
friends. All right, buy
each.
mad copies.
Right.
All right? And then this can get put into like a graphic novel for the
Yes.
all 4 issues.
Supporting
they can
another Black
reprint.
writer.
Thank you, Black writers. They out here. All right.
Right.
No matter how many articles you write or see, there's Black writers out here. All right?
Amen.
So, thank you for chilling with us. Thank you for hanging. From us to you, we're just saying, peace.